There's a pattern in gardening that raises eyebrows. Every few years, a miracle product appears, promising richer soil, bigger harvests, effortless abundance. It's costly, heavily marketed, and yet, our grandparents grew thriving gardens without it. Today, we're looking at biochar, what it really does, what it doesn't, and the ancient soil truth most experts forget. This isn't an attack. It's a memory lesson, a chance to see what gardening wisdom has been, hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to remember. Let's slow down for a moment and really understand biochar. There's a lot of hype around it, claims that it will instantly transform your soil or triple your harvest. But before we get swept up in promises, we need a clear foundation. At its core, biochar is simply charcoal made from plant material, burned in a way that limits oxygen. This controlled burn prevents the material from fully combusting, leaving behind a carbon-rich, porous substance. Sounds simple, right? But the simplicity is often lost in marketing. On its own, biochar is surprisingly unremarkable. It contains almost no nutrients. It doesn't feed plants directly. If you sprinkle it on your garden like a miracle powder, you won't see instant growth. In fact, your plants won't even notice it at first. Why? Because biochar is biologically empty. It's inert until life comes to it. So what does it actually do? Its true magic is subtle, long-term, and often misunderstood. Think of biochar like a sponge, but one designed for life rather than water alone. Once nutrients exist in the soil, biochar can hold on to them, preventing them from washing away with rain or leaching into the ground. It doesn't create nutrients, but it keeps what's already there more available to plants over time. Beyond nutrient retention, biochar provides an invisible home for microbes. Tiny bacteria and fungi, soils. Real workers love to inhabit the small pores and crevices in biochar. These microbes break down organic matter, cycle nutrients, and support healthy plant roots. Without microbes, biochar is just black, porous rock. With them, it becomes a scaffold for soil life. Biochar also improves soil structure, but not overnight. It helps aeration, water retention, and soil aggregation gradually, over months and years. This can contribute to healthier soil, but it requires patience and context. If you expect immediate results, you're likely to be disappointed. This matters because most commercial products skip this explanation. Ads show dramatic growth, perfectly green leaves, and overflowing harvests, all while leaving out the patience, preparation, and proper context required for biochar to actually make a difference. That gap between expectation and reality is where frustration starts, especially for gardeners who remember growing thriving plants without it. The key takeaway is simple. Biochar is a tool, not a miracle. It works best when combined with healthy compost, natural organic matter, and thoughtful soil management. It doesn't replace care, observation, or steady gardening practices. Think of it as an assistant, quiet, patient, and invisible until it's fully integrated into a living system. By understanding biochar this way, you're no longer reacting to marketing. You're making informed choices. You know it doesn't instantly feed plants, but it can improve soil over time if used wisely. The ancient method they don't talk about. There's a story in soil that most modern gardeners never hear. Ancient farmers didn't have bags of biochar, flashy marketing, or miracle fertilizers. They had something far more powerful and far more patient. They used living charcoal soil systems. Take the Amazon, for example. Long before industrial agriculture, indigenous farmers were creating what we now call terra preta, rich, black soils that remain fertile hundreds, even thousands of years later. And here's the secret most modern guides skip. This wasn't just charcoal sprinkled on dirt. It was charcoal brought to life. Charcoal was mixed with food scraps, kitchen waste, fruit peels, and leftover grains. It was combined with manure, ash, crushed bones, and composted plant matter. Then it was left to mature. Not for weeks, not for a single season. Sometimes for months, sometimes for years. During that time, microbial communities colonized the charcoal. Nutrients were absorbed, and the soil became alive long before seeds ever touched it. This process charged the charcoal naturally. Every bite of nutrient-rich compost, every microbe that moved in, every earthworm that burrowed through it, was preparing the soil to support plants at their very best. By the time crops were planted, the soil wasn't just black, It was brimming with life, with structure, with a natural fertility that didn't require instant fixes. Contrast that with modern biochar marketing. Today, bags of charcoal are sold as a quick solution. Mix it in, sprinkle it on, water it once, and expect growth. But the life, the microbial activity, the slow integration that makes soil resilient, that is skipped entirely. The difference is profound. Ancient soil systems were built, not bought. They were cultivated, nurtured, and understood. Modern shortcuts promise speed, but they miss the depth. This isn't just history. It's a lesson. The missing piece in today's gardens isn't a new product. It's patience. It's understanding that soil is alive, and that life takes time to develop. The magic wasn't in the charcoal itself. It was in the process of building a living, thriving ecosystem around it. The plants we see growing today are only as healthy as the soil ecosystem that supports them. When you look at the success of ancient farmers, it becomes clear they weren't chasing miracles. They were observing patterns, returning organic matter to the soil, and letting nature do what it does best. Charcoal was a tool, yes, but it was always activated by life before it ever met crops. For gardeners today, this is an invitation. Stop seeing soil as something to be fixed overnight. Stop believing a bag can replace years of understanding, patience, and care. Look at what your soil is telling you. Feed it slowly, allow life to colonize. And remember, the healthiest soil, the soil that supports robust, resilient plants, is the soil you build, not the soil you buy. Where modern biochar goes wrong. Here's where the story of biochar often gets confusing and frustrating for gardeners. Many modern products promise that sprinkling biochar on soil will instantly boost growth, improve fertility, and turn your garden into a thriving paradise. But reality rarely matches the hype. The reason isn't dishonesty, it's simply incomplete teaching. Most biochar sold today is sterile. It hasn't been charged with nutrients, compost, or microbial life. It's essentially empty, porous charcoal, waiting for life to come to it. Yet instructions often imply that it can feed plants directly, that it will act as a miracle booster if only you add it and water it. That's where expectations meet disappointment. When raw biochar is added straight into the soil, several unintended things can happen. First, it can temporarily absorb nutrients from the surrounding soil. That means fertilizer or compost that would normally feed plants may stick to the charcoal instead, leaving roots hungry for a while. In some cases, this can even slow plant growth rather than accelerate it. Second, the lack of microbial life and sterile biochar means there's nothing to help decompose organic matter or cycle nutrients at the start. Without this biological activation, biochar is just black carbon. It has potential, but that potential isn't realized until life colonizes it. And this is where many gardeners, especially seniors who remember richer, living soils, sense something is off. Confusion arises because marketing rarely mentions these caveats. Ads focus on dramatic before and after photos, glowing testimonials, and promises of overnight results. They rarely explain that biochar works best as a long-term soil partner, integrated slowly into compost or allowed to charge enrich organic matter before being applied to beds. That gap between promise and reality leaves many gardeners disappointed, wondering if the product just doesn't work, or if they somehow did something wrong. It's important to be gentle in understanding this. This isn't fraud. It isn't trickery. It's simply that modern biochar teaching often skips the steps necessary for it to truly benefit soil. And seniors, who have decades of first-hand experience, deserve to know the full picture. They deserve to understand that biochar's effectiveness depends on preparation, context, and patience. When used correctly, biochar can be incredibly valuable. It holds nutrients, provides homes for microbes, and improves soil structure over time. But its power is delayed. It is a long-term investment in soil life, not a magic bullet. To skip the preparation or to expect immediate transformation is to misunderstand its role entirely. So what's the takeaway? Modern biochar goes wrong when it's treated as a quick fix, rather than a living soil companion. When added raw, sterile, or without life-supporting compost, it can absorb nutrients, slow growth, and confuse gardeners who were promised miracles long before the word biochar appeared in gardening guides. before products were sold in shiny bags with promises of miracle growth. Our grandparents had a quiet, steady system that worked, and worked remarkably well. Their gardens thrived without hype, shortcuts, or marketing campaigns. They relied on observation, patience, and a deep understanding of natural rhythms. Wood ash went straight into compost piles. Every burned twig, scrap of firewood, and leftover charcoal from the hearth became nourishment for the soil. Burnt plant remains were never discarded. They were mixed with kitchen waste, vegetable peelings, leftover grains, and even manure. Every organic scrap was an opportunity to feed the living soil. Nothing was wasted, and everything had a purpose. They also understood the importance of letting soil rest between seasons. Gardens weren't constantly forced to produce. They were allowed to breathe, recover, and rebuild life. Fallow periods weren't idle. They were an essential part of cultivating healthy soil. Microbes, earthworms, fungi, and other unseen allies could do their work without interruption. This patience gave the soil a resilience that modern fast-fix approaches often overlook. There was no rush, no need to chase instant results. Nature wasn't a problem to solve. It was a partner to cooperate with. They weren't trying to hack growth with chemicals, powders, or expensive additives. Instead, they observed patterns. Which compost mixes worked best, how ashes influenced soil texture, and how seasonal cycles affected fertility. Their methods weren't flashy, but they were profoundly effective. The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity. By returning nutrients to the soil, allowing organic matter to decompose naturally, and giving the garden time to recover, they created conditions for plants to thrive. Roots penetrated rich, well-structured soil. Microbes flourished. Plants became more resilient to drought, pests, and disease. Harvests were steady, not sensational, but reliable year after year. Our grandparents' gardens teach us something modern shortcuts often forget. Soil health is about cooperation, not domination. Biochar, fertilizers, and chemical boosters can assist, but they cannot replace the patient, consistent care that forms the foundation of truly fertile soil. Life in the soil is slow to develop, but when nurtured correctly, it sustains itself in ways that commercial products rarely replicate. This isn't nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. It's a call to remember that some of the oldest wisdom remains the most powerful. Returning ashes to compost, mixing plant residues into the soil, allowing rest between seasons. These simple acts created living, resilient soil that modern gardens can aspire to emulate. By studying these methods, we don't reject innovation, we integrate it. We combine the wisdom of the past with tools of the present, understanding that healthy soil requires both patience and action. If you choose to use Biochar, do this instead. Many gardeners, especially those who've seen years of marketing hype, might be wary of Biochar, and rightly so. But if you already have some, or you're curious about trying it, there's a way to use it safely, effectively, and without falling for exaggerated promises. The key is patience and preparation. The first step is to treat biochar as an ingredient, not a magic fertilizer. It does not feed plants directly. Its strength lies in what it can hold, support, and sustain over time, but only when it's prepared properly. Think of it like a sponge. On its own, it's dry and empty. To be useful, it needs water, nutrients, and life to fill it. Begin by mixing biochar into compost. Take your usual compost pile, kitchen scraps, garden waste, manure, leaves, and blend in the biochar. This allows the charcoal to start absorbing nutrients from the organic matter around it. The microbes and fungi in the compost begin colonizing the pores of the charcoal, charging it with life that will later benefit the soil. Next, let it sit for weeks, or even months. This is the part many gardeners overlook. Biochar doesn't work instantly. It needs time to integrate into the compost ecosystem. During this period, moisture, warmth, and microbial activity transform it from inert carbon into a living, nutrient-supporting structure. Patience here is not wasted. It's essential. Add moisture and more organic matter periodically. A dry, empty pile will take much longer to develop life. Keep the mix slightly damp, like a wrung-out sponge, and layer in fresh compostable material as it becomes available. This ongoing care ensures that the biochar absorbs nutrients, fosters microbial colonies, and becomes a genuine soil enhancer. When it's ready, Add the composted biochar gradually to your garden beds. Start with small amounts rather than overloading the soil in a single application. Your goal isn't a dramatic overnight transformation. It's long-term soil health, consistent nutrient retention, and improved structure over seasons. Even modest, patient applications will make a difference over time. The benefit of this method is honesty. No promises of miraculous growth. No claims of doubling harvests overnight. Instead, you gain something far more valuable: soil that remembers life, nourishes plants steadily, and builds resilience naturally. This approach respects both the science of biochar and the timeless wisdom of traditional gardening. For seniors, this method also aligns with experience. It mirrors the care and patience you've observed in gardens for decades, adding organic matter, letting soil rest, building life slowly rather than forcing results. Biochar becomes a tool that works with your knowledge rather than against it. In essence, this is gardening on honest terms. Small amounts, slow integration, attention to life in the soil, and patience. That's how biochar can genuinely serve your garden. Let's be clear, the problem isn't charcoal itself. Biochar is simply what it is: a tool, a form of carbon that can hold nutrients and provide homes for microbes when used correctly. The real scam isn't the material. It's the way it's sold. Many modern products take ancient wisdom out of context. They package it, brand it, and promise instant results, transformations that defy the natural pace of soil life. Ads focus on speed, growth, and miraculous harvests, but forget the basics. Soil is alive. It breathes, it develops, and it responds to care over months and years, not days. This is where seniors, gardeners with decades of experience, see through the hype. They've worked with soil that needed no labels, no magic powders, no instant fixes. They understand intuitively that anything worth growing requires patience. They remember compost piles developing over months, soil resting between seasons, and the quiet power of letting nature do its work. That understanding is priceless, yet it's often overlooked in the rush to sell a product. So yes, the scam isn't biochar. The scam is forgetting the rhythm of life in the soil. It's promising speed where patience is required. It's ignoring the unseen networks of microbes, fungi, and earthworms that make soil fertile. And it's attempting to replace decades of observation and care with marketing claims. Seniors know better than anyone. Growth that is rushed is fragile, but growth that is patient is resilient. Think of an older gardener you knew, someone who rarely spoke about techniques or trends, but whose garden always flourished. They didn't follow the latest advice from magazines or online videos. They didn't buy every new soil product on the market. Yet their soil, rich, dark, alive, never failed them. These gardeners weren't behind the times. They were ahead of the noise. They understood that real gardening isn't about chasing shortcuts. It's about cooperating with natural cycles, observing patterns, and returning life to the soil season after season. Their wisdom wasn't flashy. It was quiet, consistent, and enduring. This chapter isn't nostalgia, it's a reminder. When marketing and hype cloud our judgment, the lessons of patience, observation, and care remain timeless. The truth is simple: you don't need more products. You need clearer memory, sharper observation, and respect for the slow rhythms of soil life. Soil remembers what is added to it, what is left alone, and how it is treated over time. Quick fixes rarely produce lasting results, but thoughtful care does. If this video helped you see soil differently, share it with someone who still believes growth must be rushed. Let them remember what older gardeners already knew. Patience, observation, and steady care always pay off. Subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors, where wisdom ages well and nothing important is ever rushed. Here, every garden story reminds us that the real harvest isn't just food, it's knowledge, patience, and confidence in what lasts.